All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, as Rafael Nadal lost in the first round of the French Open to Alexander Zverev on Monday, it more than likely marked the end of the most dominant run of tennis ever at Roland Garros. You look at it, and unfortunately, injuries have taken away from the effectiveness of Nadal, excuse me, in recent years. But he wanted to come back and give it another crack at his home away from home. And, for 2 decades, it's been Nadal and everyone else at the French Open as his record at Roland Garros speaks for itself. We're talking about including Monday's loss to Zverev. Nadal's record at the French Open is 112-4. Okay. 14 French Open titles, which is by far the most in the history of that tournament, as his legacy is cemented there and honestly in tennis overall. Only Novak Djokovic has more Grand Slam championships, excuse me, than the 22 that Nadal has. And I mean, you think about Rafael Nadal's career. You think about the battles that he had first with Roger Federer, and of course, they were epic. And you think about it, Nadal routinely got the best of Federer in Paris, but then the favor would be returned by Federer to his rival in at the All England Club in Wimbledon. You think about the battles that Rafa Nadal has had with Novak Djokovic, okay? And you just think about this great era of tennis. And I mean, it's unfortunate, nothing lasts forever. Of course, we understand that. But this is one of the greatest runs that we have and will ever see in the sport of tennis. I mean, Nadal has basically already talked about coming back to represent his home country of Spain at Roland Garros this summer in the Olympics. Okay, and so he's going to at least be on the clay there once more. He's still keeping the window open for possibly staying around, but at the end of the day, I just think the injuries have just gotten the best of him in recent years. And it's unfortunate because you think about something that he's been doing the bulk of his life, and it's easier said than done. Okay, I'm not here to knock him. It's easier said than done when it's time to walk away. And it's very difficult to walk away from something that you've done the bulk of your life, and not only done it, but you have succeeded at the highest of high levels in the process. You look at this, and it's almost over for this big three. Roger Federer retired a couple of years ago. Nadal is staring at retirement. And how many more years does Novak Djokovic have? And you think about what these three men have meant to the sport of tennis for more than 2 decades now. You're talking about one, two, and three all time as far as Grand Slam championships. Federer has 20, Nadal has 22, and Djokovic has 24. And for me, I didn't think anybody was going to top Pete Sampras when he retired more than 2 decades ago. And you've seen what Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic have all done, and they all have one thing in common. They all had one tournament that they dominated more than others. You think about Federer's 8 Wimbledon championships, as well as 5 US Open championships. You think about the 14 French Open championships won by Rafa Nadal. And then you think about Djokovic, 10 Australian Open championships, 7 Wimbledon titles, and then 4 at the US Open. Not to mention, he came back and got the French Open 3 times himself. But you just have to respect it. Oh, because things like this just don't come down the pike that often. There's a new wave of potentially great male tennis players out there. You look at Alexander Zverev. He has all of the tools in the cabinet to get it done. You look at Carlos Alcaraz. You look at Yannick Sinner. These are just three of the guys that could be the face of this sport for the next decade or so. But getting back to Rafa Nadal, it's one of those where, again, one of the best who have ever done it. Nobody has dominated the clay in the fashion that he has. It's one of those where even the great players for the last 2 decades, have had to just take a back seat, to what Nadal has done in Paris on the clay. It was his show. Okay. And if this was truly it for him, he's got nothing to be ashamed of. You people understood the importance of it. It's tough. It was difficult to see what was a championship like atmosphere on Monday. What also, you had two guys that had the potential to win this tournament. And of course, the crowd understood that as well. Djokovic was in the crowd, Alcaraz was in the crowd. And, you never want to see it come to an end. But like I said, all good things have to come to an end. One of the greatest careers ever in tennis. And if this is truly it for Rafa Nadal, he walks away from the game and the sport that he loves with absolutely no regrets and nothing to be ashamed of because he simply left it all out there. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.